All right, gentlemen, stand by, stand by.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
I think all the top 10 teams got great coaches.
Yeah.
I'll be honored to play for any top 10 team and try to have an instant impact and change the program. That's why I think I'm the number one receiver now coming to the draft, and I think I can come on a team and make an instant impact and make plays all around the field.
Ain't no doubt, Sammy. Ain't no doubt you're the best receiver in the draft. You're the best receiver in the country. I felt that from the first time I saw Sammy Watkins play. You know, we talk about Clowney and Clowney being this freak of nature, and he is certainly. In his own way, Sammy is also a freak. The first time I saw him play at Clemson, the first time he caught one of those short passes and turned on the jets and ran away from everybody, it took your breath away. You had to know this guy is special as well. He had the little hiccup as a sophomore with injuries and his off-the-field issues. Then he came back last year and proved exactly what he's all about. I think whoever gets him is getting an absolute gem.
I think he proved it in the bowl game because we've seen Sammy, if he gets into press coverage and somebody hits him in the mouth, he used to back down. He had to show in that Ohio State game when they hit him that he was going to show up, and I think that's what turned the scouts in his favor. That was a bowl game that really helped him out as far as the scouts were concerned because they wanted to see him get hit in the mouth and see what he would do.
He scored less than a minute into his college career. I mean, that's how quick of an impact he made at Clemson. Caught his first pass, scored a touchdown, and there was no doubt. I left that stadium. It was against Troy, and I said, Sammy Watkins is going to be the best receiver that ever played at Clemson as long as he stays healthy and keeps his head on straight. And he, by and large, did both of those things, and I think you can make a very strong case that he is the best receiver to ever play at Clemson.
No question, no question. Now, Clowney is making the rounds of New York, as is Watkins and the other 30 invited up for the draft tomorrow night. Just got to look at Clowney on the set on ESPN, and he's got a different hairdo going.
Did he have his dreads up, or did he cut them off? He didn't cut his dreads up. He had them back.
You can actually see his entire face. You don't have the dreads hanging down, blocking part of his face. And, yeah, he looked good, and like he's ready to be. Got kind of the businessman look going for him now.
He's a millionaire now, so I guess he's starting to dress the part.
And
he's not a college kid anymore. You know, you wear the T-shirts and the flip-flops to class every day when you're in college, but now he's a millionaire.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to look the part. He's probably been making the rounds in New York. I'm sure a lot of investors and people that would like to get close to Clowney are getting close to him. We heard Coach Carroll say he got that Amex Black card overnighted to him when they found out he was going to make $8 million per season.
Well, he was involved today with the Play 60 stuff up in New York with the NFL, the Play 60 program, and involved with a lot of kids-related stuff today. Good promotional stuff. Josh Kendall from the State and State.com has been up in New York chronicling his every step from the point that I think he was on the plane with Clowney and his family from Charlotte to New York. He's going to be with him through the draft, so you can follow Josh and his writings from up in New York. And we'll be back. A lot of good stuff to come.
Guys, one nation, one unity, one America, one sports talk. Stand by.
Information. Information. Information.
All right, the Wednesday edition of Sports Talk from downtown Columbia. Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, Professor Tom Hayes, and the State Man, Graham Pope. 800-956-7266 is the phone number. Email talkback at sportstalksc.com. Our website, sportstalksc.com, where you can watch the live video feed. You can also hear the live audio feed of the program. You can also catch us if you lose us over the airwaves via iHeartRadio on your mobile app or your smartphone, our Greenville affiliate, WGVL, our Myrtle Beach affiliate, WSEA, streaming their broadcasts through iHeartRadio. On Facebook, it's Sports Talk Radio Network. And the draft, of course, coming up tomorrow night. I was checking on NFL.com. They had a compilation of mock drafts, and everybody across the board, guys, now everybody's on board that Clowney will be the first pick tomorrow night by Houston.
Now apparently they've been mentioning in some articles, I guess starting on Monday or Sunday, where some are saying now a player that they think is in the game is the Bills. Buffalo will try to trade from the 9 spot to number 1.
Good luck.
To get Clowney.
How much will they give up?
I don't know, but the key point is this. Houston thinks they will be able to get a few picks from somebody to let them get Clowney so they can go back down in the draft, get a lineman or another pass rusher they want, and also get Teddy Bridgewater. Because they think Bridgewater is going to drop to a point where if they have to move back into the 20s in the draft, they can get who they want as a lineman first and then come back and get Bridgewater.
You know, Bridgewater is a guy who's stock has sort of dipped here of late, as far as the national pundits and analysts are concerned. And, he had great numbers at Louisville, but my goodness, he was in a pretty bad league and pretty much had his way against some pretty weak defenses. I wonder if now that they've seen him in various forms and fashion, if they are picking his game apart and seeing some weaknesses, and that is leading to him, taking a bit of a step down the ladder in terms of the rankings heading into the draft.
Yeah, I kind of worry about when a guy is overanalyzed because, Phil, I think you're deemed to repeat the past if you don't learn from it.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when a certain quarterback out of Pennsylvania's receivers graduated a year ahead, and he had a rough senior year, and Don Shula laughed all the way to the bank as he saw Dan Marino drop to the Dolphins. So sometimes if you overanalyze a guy, you end up passing on a guy that's going to be a great quarterback. So it'd be interesting to see how that plays out.
Well, it's not a great class for quarterbacks, and I think that if this class, and Clowney, it's a perfect year for him because anytime there's a great quarterback or quarterbacks available, typically they're going to go number 1 because I think most NFL people believe you've got to have that great quarterback for a chance to win. Even if you've got great defensive people available, the quarterback makes it all happen for you. In this particular year, it's weak at the top for quarterbacks. A couple of years ago, that wouldn't have been the case. And we've seen what happened with those quarterbacks that came in that class a couple of years ago. So things are setting up perfectly for Clowney. He's been in New York today. He'll be on the Tonight Show. What time is it? Yeah, that show's already been taped. They usually tape those things about 5 o'clock or so, 5:30. And so it's probably already in the can, and we'll watch it tonight, I guess, and see exactly how he handles that particular spotlight and the type of questions that Jimmy Fallon's going to throw at him.
Well, it's interesting you talk about quarterbacks and how they struggle. I think it depends on what system they're in. Andrew Luck, always a pro offense. You knew he was going to click in. Matt Ryan, when he came to Atlanta, was ready as a rookie. Also, where they're drafted, Phil. I'm thinking in terms of if Tom Brady had been a first-round draft choice when he struggled to even hold his job at Michigan, would he have been the quarterback then, or because he was drafted on the 6th round and maybe nothing was expected from him early, he was able to be groomed into the quarterback he is? So sometimes the pressure to force a guy in because he's been drafted high has destroyed some of these quarterbacks that have come out early.
All right, phone number 800-956-7266. We, of course, can talk about Clowney and Sammy. We know they're going to go within the first few minutes of the draft, but what about the other guys? We'll talk about where you think a guy like a Kelsey Quarles is going to end up, or any of the other guys coming out of South Carolina and Clemson in the draft tomorrow night. Where will Bruce Ellington end up? I think he's a guy that's been on the way up. Could he sneak into the first round late or early second round? Connor Shaw, where will he go? Taj Boyd, is Taj going to be somewhere in the top 3, or is he going to drop farther down the list? We got all that to talk about heading into the draft tomorrow night, and we've got some comments from Sammy, correct, K-Mac?
TMZ caught up with him. I think they didn't acquire this shadily like they did the Donald Sterling comments. They actually got this
on the record.
They didn't like have one of Sammy Watkins' ex-girlfriends give him comments from his dorm room in Clemson. No, they caught up with them in NYC this morning when he was out and about and asked him TMZ type questions. But we'll, time permitting, play that. He talks about what he's going to buy first, what he's going to miss the most about college, what team he wants to go to, all that good stuff.
Have that. And also we do have a breakdown from NFL.com, a film study breakdown of Clowney done by Willie McGinnis, former great defensive end, and Sean O'Hara, who I think is a former offensive lineman.
They looked at the linebacker?
Or linebacker, defensive end?
Here is the thing.
But what they did was they took the film of Clowney, some of his college film, and they break it down in about 2 minutes. But it's good radio because there's no dead space in there, so you can hear them talking about the little things that they saw in the film that they liked and didn't like about Clowney.
Well, you know, the thing about it is they talk as if they're looking for a finished product, and that's not what you're getting in the draft. Obviously, he's going to get coached up. Plus, I would ask those guys, do you think he had good coaching in college? So you're saying that the coaches that coached him didn't know what they were doing. Is that what you're trying to say? No, that's not what I said. I'm going to ask that question if I was sitting in a room with him.
Well, Merrill Hodge didn't think he got good coaching.
What is Merrill Hodge?
Merrill Hodge doesn't know anything. Here's the other funny thing. Phil.
Well, now, he was a pretty good, decent running back.
Yeah, he had one too many concussions, I think.
Well,
but
yeah,
Phil, here's the interesting thing. I think he's just one of those guys that makes comment and see what sticks on the wall.
And ESPN wants those guys. You can't have everybody. They had everybody gushing over him after the Outback Bowl.
But here's
and then they had to immediately bring it back after the first
Here's
game.
the one I heard. One pundit, and I can't remember his name, talked out of both sides of his mouth while talking about Clowney. They were talking about Clowney. He said, I saw him do nothing. They talked about how he was blocked, so and so. Then later on in the program, they talked about some of the guys lower, and they mentioned Kelsey Quarles, and the same guy said, well, Clowney was drawing triple and double teams, so he was able to get in there and get sacks.
Whatever
I said, well,
takes.
wait a minute. You just said that Clowney wasn't doing anything. You mean to tell me he was drawing a double and triple team, so you're going to be negative against Kelsey Quarles because he says he walked into sacks because one guy was drawing all the attention. What is he trying to say?
He has the talent to sleepwalk through a 10-year NFL career where he'd make 3 or 4 Pro Bowls. And that's it. You know, they just walk out there. And I really don't sense that Clowney's a guy that isn't motivated. That whole notion he doesn't love playing football that got thrown out there during this season, he's quitting on his team. I don't get that impression being around, you know, covering him, watching him play the game. He seems like a guy that's pretty motivated to be the best. He was the best in high school. He's coming out of college as the best. He wants a Super Bowl ring. I think he really is motivated, and there is no doubt he's the most scrutinized defensive player ever going into an NFL draft. Has there ever been a guy on the defensive side of the ball that has faced this kind of scrutiny, from his effort level to his technique to how much coaching he got, good or bad?
You have to remember the age we're in now. You know, you
That's
turn
true.
the clock back 20, 25 years. Lawrence Taylor was a much talked about guy, but he didn't have every
There wasn't a 24-hour news cycle.
and everybody with a Twitter and everybody with a camera that could talk about you and look at you and write something about you. So But I hear what you're saying, but that's just the age that we live in now because there's a lot more people with the outlets to talk and scrutinize. Be back in a moment.
So right now I'm not passing on going to Georgia, go to Penn State. Georgia State featuring James Franklin. Stand by, gentlemen.
Pretty wide open for your calls right now, 800-956-7266 if you want to chime in. So where do you think, besides the obvious, Clowney, Watkins, what about the rest of the group that's out there? Ellington, Hampton, Shaw, Quarles from South Carolina, from Clemson. You've got Taj. You've got Brandon Thomas. You have got who else am I forgetting from Clemson's side? Not too many on the defensive side. Who's that state man? Brashard Breeland.
Martavis Bryant.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, Martavis Bryant. Yeah, that's the other one. Maybe a second-round pick. Rod hasn't been talked about. Rod McDowell.
He's hoping to get a crack at a team, and it might be a free agent deal for him. Running backs, there's just not even really good ones, and I'm not trying to disparage. McDowell did well. It's hard, though. I mean, top-flight running backs, they're just not a premium. You look at NFL teams, they just take different guys even off the scrap heap and plug them in there, and they'll use 3 or 4 different guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Packers with James Starks, for example.
Right.
That's a guy that
you have Adrian Peterson's the exception now. Everybody used to have an Adrian Peterson.
If you're a running back now and you are not polished at picking up the blitz and or catching passes out of the backfield, you're going to be a free agent. You got to be multifaceted to play the game, and it's better if you can flank out wide too, become the third or fourth receiver in a set. I mean, so you got to have a exceptional skill set. But I think some of the guys you mentioned, Phil, they look like Saturday guys to me.
Mm-hmm. All right, let me get to some of the news notes of the day, and unfortunately we begin with a sad note: the passing of Dale Evans, 77 years old, former USC assistant coach under Jim Carlin. And then he went to Dorman High School, became coach and AD there, and oversaw the complete makeover of their athletic program at Dorman. Retired in 2004 and was on the Spartanburg School Board District 6 Board of Trustees, inducted into the South Carolina Athletic Administrators Hall of Fame in 2012. Guys, we all knew Coach Evans, and we knew his sons as well, and there wasn't a finer man in the sports business in South Carolina, finer coach, finer person than Dale Evans.
Yeah, and the kind of impact that he made, Mark D'Antonio at Michigan State played at South Carolina, and Evans was his position coach, and the two remained close. In fact, Evans was in Pasadena for the Rose Bowl when they played, and then last week, D'Antonio found time to fly into Columbia and go spend some time with Evans, and they were able to spend some time together last week, a week ago today. Obviously, D'Antonio sensing that was going to be his last chance to see him. So lots of people impacted by him.
Yeah, great man, a big believer in Jim Carlin and what Jim Carlin stood for as well. And it was our state's a good fortune that Coach Evans moved here when Carlin became the coach, and then he took up residency here in South Carolina. I also want to send our best wishes out to good friend, sports writer Charlie Bennett, who is in the hospital in Columbia, and we wish him well, dealing with a little bit of an illness, and hoping that Charlie recovers soon and gets back on the beat. Been covering South Carolina and Clemson. He's covered both beats in his long sports writing career. We want to see him up and on his feet again soon.
Great storyteller.
Yes, he
He's
is.
the guy you want to be standing next to when you're waiting for a press conference to start.
All right, we're going to hit a break here at the bottom of the hour. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network.
All right, Sean, when we talk about Clowney, there's some things that you can touch. We talk about technique, but there's some things when I look at this kid.
Stand by.
All right, we're back at Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network here on a Wednesday night. A lot of stuff going on, eve of the draft. We've got baseball, Clemson and High Point just getting underway at Doug Kingsmore Stadium. Taking a look at the Tiger lineup tonight, it's very similar to what they've been doing here of late. Steve Wilkerson still out of the lineup. Eli White is starting at second base, and Krieger is still DHing, so that means Baum is still playing at short. And Clayton Schmidt on the mound tonight for the Tigers. He's 4-6, 4.40 ERA. And starting for High Point tonight is a left-hander, John Carlson. He is 1-0 with a 3.38 ERA. In Columbia tonight, South Carolina taking on Wofford. The Gamecocks will have Max Schrock back in the lineup, this time as the DH. He'll bat second behind Mooney, and the rest of the lineup looks pretty much the norm, except DC Arendis is back in the lineup at second base. Cone will be in right, Harrington will be in left, and Scott will be on the mound. So, again, a bunch of names in there for South Carolina you would not have expected at this stage of the season. But because of the injuries, they're having to count on some of the new guys and some guys who haven't played a whole lot before to step in, like Harrington, who's getting extended playing opportunities. And so these games are all big now this late in the year because in South Carolina's case, they're trying to build a case to get back in the top 8 of the RPI, to be a national top 8 seed. And Clemson's just trying to perhaps solidify a position for the postseason. I'd say the Tigers a long shot now for hosting one of the 16 regionals. And I'd say the Gamecocks right now may be considered a long shot for getting back in that top 8 because, they would probably need to sweep Missouri at home and then take 2 of 3 at Vanderbilt and not lose either of their remaining non-league games to get back in the top 8.
And do how much? Would they have to do any damage in the tournament?
Got to win a couple of games in Hoover, something that they
don't usually do.
Exactly.
Well,
exactly.
Yeah, it's very difficult to get to Omaha when you have to go on the road in that super regional because you're playing a great team by and large, and you're playing them at their place, which is very, very difficult. And we know the benefit of being at home, especially if you're South Carolina. They've never lost a postseason game over at Carolina Stadium since it's been erected. So they want that spot, but I think they've made too many mistakes. And maybe not mistakes, Corner, you mentioned the injuries. They just haven't been healthy in a while, and that's part of the game. Sometimes it works out that way, but if they can get those guys back, they know they can do it.
And, of course, they haven't. I don't think – can anybody remember, have they swept a 3-game SEC series this year? They won a lot of 2-1s.
Yeah, I think it was – didn't they sweep Tennessee? Swept Tennessee, I believe. I can go back and check. I think they swept
I thought Tennessee won the first game, then they won the last 2. I'm not sure.
I thought South Carolina rallied to pull out. I can tell you here in just a moment. I thought they rallied to pull out a game that it looked like they were going to lose, then ended up winning the other 2 games. By the way, the SEC softball tournament is underway here in Columbia. Let's get an update from K-Mac.
Oh, I have no idea.
Come on, K-Mac.
Give me a month and I couldn't tell you anything that's happened.
Yeah, the Gamecocks swept Tennessee 3-2 and 14, 9-6 and 8-0. That's the only SEC series they have swept this year.
No, I thought we were still talking about softball.
No, we went back to baseball.
Okay,
I got you off the
Good,
hook.
thank you.
They are playing the SEC softball tournament.
I know. Why aren't we covering that?
At the beautiful new stadium at USC, and seats about, 1,800 or so?
I'm sure it's packed.
Every game is on ESPNU, by the way, if you're interested. And right now, Mississippi State and Kentucky, they are in extra innings. So worst case scenario, if you're out there covering it or watching it, now you've got extra innings.
Are they out boycotting since there's a postseason event taking place in South Carolina?
No,
the SEC a predetermined
it's predetermined
postseason tournament?
Yeah.
If that was basketball or baseball, softball, they let it slide. the ACC tournament would be at Myrtle Beach.
That's an excellent
We would
point.
be going to
This
Myrtle
is
Beach later this month
This is a
if it weren't for the
predetermined
flag.
event. That's correct.
Yeah.
This is a predetermined
So,
event. How did this
I think they snuck one by, and
How'd
so to
that
speak,
slip?
they threw one by the old NAACP.
NAACP sleeping on the job?
Oh no, they
Getting out there and
had
protest.
they had the division. Didn't they have the NCAA Division II championship game one time over at Benedict? I think.
Division II what?
I think it was football.
Yeah, see, they seem to let the smaller ones
the
go.
smaller,
They pick
but
their
there's a
battles.
big-
When Myrtle Beach, which would have been a great destination
Which
for the
tells me
ACC baseball tournament.
A policy is not really a policy if you pick and choose now, is
Well, I think I
policy is to
think you
pick
do
and
need
choose.
consistency. Yeah, I think you
Policy
do
is to
need
pick-
That's the
consistency.
that's the
But
policy.
yeah, you're trying to. The whole point is, I guess, to get people talking about it, and they figure, well, who really cares about the SEC softball tournament?
Baseball this afternoon, the ACC, Richmond leading NC State 4-0. Virginia Tech leading Northeastern 4-3. And Wofford at USC tonight at 7. And Clemson just getting underway against High Point. Also, this afternoon, got a couple of state teams in action. East Tennessee leading Furman 5-3, bottom of the 4th. Furman fired their pitching coach today. Well, I guess they're not calling it a firing. They're actually calling it a resignation. Mike Ranson resigned effective immediately. And he said, I regret not having the opportunity to coach the classes of student athletes I brought in. He'd been there since 2012. Landon Powell assumes the role of interim pitching coach for the Paladins, who are 18-28, 7-13 in the Southern Conference play. College of Charleston leading Upstate 5-3 as they play in the top of the 8th inning. And let's see if anything else was going on involving state teams today. Winthrop plays at North Carolina A&T. That's tonight. And around the SEC, besides USC's game tonight, the only other game is Georgia leading Savannah State 2-0 in the top of the 3rd inning. Some other news. APR time, end of the school year. It's APR time.
Love this time of the year. It's like Christmas.
This is when the athletic directors can stick out their chest and say, see, we do more here than just play sports.
Well, not at UNLV in Idaho.
Well, not every place can do it. USC and Clemson can. Clemson, their release today points out that they were honored by the NCAA when the APR came out today. They received the APR Academic Performance Public Recognition
Good housekeeping
Award.
seal.
That means the Tigers rank among the top 10% of all FBS programs annually in APR score. The 4th consecutive year the program has had a top 10% ranking. Clemson is one of only 5 SBS programs ranked in the top 10% each of the last 4 years. The other ones are Boise State, Duke, Northwestern, and Rutgers. Clemson is the only FBS program nationally to finish each of the last 3 seasons in the top 25 of both polls on the field and in the top 10% of APR scores in the classrooms. And if you need more, Clemson and Stanford are the only 2 FBS programs with a top 10 final ranking in the coaches poll and a top 10% ranking in the FBS APR scores each of the last 2 years. Okay, now USC's release about their APR. USC one of 13 teams receiving public recognition for the latest multi-year APR score. And USC doesn't go into a whole heck of a lot of detail about their history with the APR. But the other programs joining South Carolina with a distinction, they write, Boise, Boston College, Clemson, Duke, Georgia Tech, Northwestern, Rutgers, Stanford, Missouri, Nebraska, Wisconsin, and Utah State.
Yeah, the NCAA recognized those 13 schools as being the best of the best today.
So both of our big schools are doing the job.
And that's great, too, when you parlay it with the fact that both of these schools are having remarkable success on the field, too. So they're doing it the right way on and off the field, and that's a testament to Steve Spurrier and his staff and a testament to Dabo Swinney and his staff. You can't fake that stuff.
Not to mention the scores of people working behind the scenes in academics to make sure those guys get it done in some form or fashion. I mean, let's face it, you're a college football player. If you don't make the academic grades, it's because you just don't want to make the academic grades. We'll be back. Our Braves report coming up. All right, time for our Braves report tonight. Mike Morgan, back from a quick trip to Wichita. He did the game last night between Wichita State, Kansas State, and on ESPNU. I happened to catch about 2 or 3 pitches of that game. And how did it turn out? When I tuned in, Kansas State was up, I think, 6-3.
Kansas State held on, a less than furious rally from Wichita State in the bottom of the ninth, and the Wildcats won it.
By a final love?
Final score was 10-4.
Much less than furious.
Kansas State is now fighting for a bid of the Big 12 tournament and trying to make their 6th regional in the last 7 years. What else would you like to know, Mr. Phil Kornblum?
I want to ask you this. Now, just watching on television, the outfield at Wichita State Stadium looked enormous. It was am I just misguided by the way television made it look, or was that just a huge outfield?
We pride ourselves in TV land of fooling and tricking the viewers. Optical illusions is really what we like to do.
Yes.
Let people believe they're seeing one thing, but in actuality, reality is another. No, it's a pretty cavernous park. You're right on point there. I think it's 375, 380 in the alleys, 390 to straightaway center, but it plays even bigger than that because the wind is normally gusting either in or to left field, which makes it more impressive. The kid from Wichita State, Casey Gillespie, who you'll see as a first-round draft pick, hit a bomb straightaway center about 410 feet into that wind, which is remarkable. But anyway, yeah, it is a big park, beautiful stadium, X-Stadium over there in Wichita, one of the nicer stadiums you'll see outside of the SEC or ACC.
Yeah, it's nothing like watching a ball game with the big logo of the home team out in center field as well. That big shocker out there in the heart of center field. Looked very nice. And you did a nice job. The 3 pitches that I heard you call were well done. Now to the Braves and the Cardinals. Mike Minor back to the mound tonight against Adam Wainwright. Good pitching matchup. Oh, you're all right, sir?
Oh, the Midwest.
I'm playing hurt tonight. A little bit of that Wichita flu, I think, is what I brought back. No, Adam Wainwright is terrific, as we all know. Former Atlanta Braves first-round draft pick and a guy that is going to be tough on any lineup, particularly one that can't seem to hit the baseball very well here for the last couple of weeks. Mike Minor, though, you feel good about him on the mound as well. It'll be his second start back. No run support in the first one, but he did pitch fairly well. Freddie Gonzalez continues to mix it up. He once again will have the pitcher batting 8th tonight. He'll have Ramiro Pena starting in place of Dan Uggla at second, and he will have B.J. Upton down in the lineup in the, I believe, the 5-hole with brother Justin in the 2-hole. B.J. Upton, of course, has been struggling as well. So you've already got Jason Hayward struggling. You can't have 2 guys at the top of your order barely at the Mendoza line. So obviously Freddie Gonzalez trying to mix that up.
Now, part of these struggles are obviously general managers are always discussing things, and Mike, has always been my feeling. I know it's a dinosaur in baseball now, but the Braves, the way their hitters are, look like they would really, if they could do something, would benefit of having a guy at the top of the lineup, a leadoff guy that actually runs the bases, so they could see more fastballs and less breaking pitches.
Oh, they'd love to have it. It's just not there. You know, they had it a couple of years ago, but again, while the Braves have spent more money in recent years, they still are somewhat limited in what they could spend. So the roster kind of is what it is, and they improve by picking up Justin Upton, who when he's on is very good. But you just don't have a true leadoff hitter. Now, some people will say you don't need a true leadoff hitter. And look, this team did win 96 games a year ago without a true leadoff hitter. But I think it's really costing him right now, and I think it's also hurting Jason Hayward, who I don't think feels overly comfortable in that spot. You'd love to see somebody, you know, come out of the woodwork, but Jordan Schaefer's the closest thing to that. I just don't think Jordan Schaefer will consistently be a guy that you can put in there every night. He's more of a role guy, more of a 4th outfielder on your roster. So it just kind of is what it is. I wouldn't surprise me the next experiment would be Andrelton Simmons hitting in the leadoff spot, because one good thing about Simmons, he hardly ever strikes out.
All right, Mike, go take care of yourself. A little honey and lemon and hot tea will do wonders for you.
I appreciate the heads up.
Put a dab of bourbon in it.
Not to mention several strong pills will also do you some wonder as well. Thank you, Mike Morgan. Braves Report brought to you tonight by Founders Federal Credit Union. helping South Carolinians attain their financial goals. One thing about the Braves, they're playing a lot of close games. 26 of their 32 games decided by 3 or fewer runs. They're 8-7 in one-run games so far this season. No doubt they'll probably have another close one against the Cardinals tonight. Clemson and High Point underway. Bottom of the first, no score. Tigers do have a runner on second base as they try to extend their winning streak to 5, and we'll be right back.
Stand by, gentlemen.
All right, update things at Clemson. Tigers underway in their game against High Point, and Tigers did get a runner to second, but he was stranded there. They go to the top of the second inning, and they're scoreless. USC and Wofford getting underway just a couple of minutes. Play the Cash Whirlwind instant game for a chance to win up to $20,000 on only a $2 instant game. That, of course, coming to you from the South Carolina Education Lottery. A couple of other notes to pass along as we approach the top of the hour. SEC Big Ten Challenge has been put together for this coming basketball season. USC will play the third and final day of the challenge, make that the fourth and final day of the challenge. It's spread out from Wednesday to Saturday. The Gamecocks will play host to Oklahoma State, and that's great on December the 6th. Of course, that will be up against the SEC championship football game, which if the Gamecocks happen to be in the SEC championship football game, you would expect a crowd of about 10 to be at the basketball game.
I would think,
depending on when they will play it.
I think they would move that to Sunday, wouldn't you?
Can they do that?
I think they can.
ESPN and all that kind of stuff.
I think
they would do that? I don't know. They got a doubleheader: Oklahoma State, USC, Kansas State at Tennessee. The first matchup on Wednesday is Auburn at Texas Tech. Thursday, Arkansas at Iowa State, LSU at West Virginia, Baylor at Vanderbilt, and TCU at Ole Miss. The good games are really on Friday. Florida at Kansas. That should be fun. Texas at Kentucky.
Yes.
And Missouri at Oklahoma. So Friday heavy with the big-time games. Again, USC, Oklahoma State on Saturday. You also have the state championship football games in Columbia that day. But the big thing would be if South Carolina's in the SEC football championship game. And CBS jumping into the college basketball early season classic-type event. In fact, they're calling this the CBS Sports Classic. They are pulling together Kentucky, North Carolina, UCLA, and Ohio State for the CBS Sports Classic. And it's going to be played, let's see here, it's going to be played in Las Vegas. Let's see. No.
Nice when Corn.
No, it's going to be
the
at
first time on the air.
It's going to be at the United Center in Chicago on December 20th. This coming year, it'll be in Chicago. UCLA, Kentucky, North Carolina, Ohio State. Then in 2015, they flip-flop opponents. North Carolina plays UCLA. Kentucky plays Ohio State. That'll be at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. And then in 2016, the venue to be determined in Las Vegas, Kentucky will play North Carolina and UCLA will play Ohio State. So you're going to take the same four schools for 3 years and rotate the opponents in different locations.
Well, here, we were talking about Franklin. I guess we talked off there about Franklin and Georgia State having that joint camp in Atlanta. Well, the Big Ten want to infiltrate Big East country and ACC country. They're moving their tournament to Washington in 2017, the basketball tournament.
And, of course, the ACC is going to the Barclays Center in 2017 to tap into that New York market. Top of the hour break.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
All right, we're back at Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Good to have you with us here on this Wednesday edition, the eve of the draft. We've got some breaking recruiting news that we'll tell you about here in just a couple of moments. But before we do that, I want to get to, I'll tell you this first, then we'll get to Clowney. Lorenzo Nunez, quarterback out of Kennesaw, Georgia, will announce his choice tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. Going to put it on Twitter, per his dad. USC, NC State, or Ohio State, the decision is made, so he knows where he's going, and we'll find out tomorrow at 7. As for Clowney, he was on ESPN just a little while ago. I think it was Susie Colbert interviewing him up in New York, and he was asked first what all this means back to his hometown of Rock Hill.
It means a lot to them, all of them watching, cheering me on. They've been supporting me since I left high school. That's a big thing when guys from small town leave out and go on to do bigger and better things, and everybody from the town support me. I have guys calling me all the time, man, we support you. I'm just happy to have that support back home.
All right, so here you are. There's the stage. This
is
it.
Stage. That's a big stage.
What are the emotions now? And you look at this. You made it.
Oh, man, it's one of my dreams. I've been dreaming about this for a long time, and it's finally here. I'm so excited. My family excited. It was just once-in-a-lifetime dream. You can't never get this back after you go through it.
Everybody handles celebrity in different ways. How have you handled that through this process?
It's a blessing for me, Coming up, I grew up in a small town, small house, and all of a sudden I just hit this stage like I got to take it on head on, and it's just been up and up for me ever since. Ever since I got to college, people been figuring my name out and knowing who I am, who I play, and it's just got bigger and bigger. So as I get going to the NFL, I just know it's going to be bigger than what it was, so I just got to deal with it.
But, for obviously all the talent, and then there's been criticism too. What do you feel like you want to prove?
I want to prove to people that I'm ready and that I'm going to be ready for the NFL, taking on the coach's challenge, like getting adapted to where I end up on the playbook. Just growing up really in the game, growing up in the game of football, really like getting a great understanding about the game. That's what I really want to learn, and just getting better at it. I've been playing off a lot of raw talent ability. Like if I really learn this game, there's no telling how good I really can be.
The reports are that you talked to Texans GM Rick Smith 2 to 3 times last week. How would you characterize those conversations?
I really love talking to him. He had some good advice for me. Not only him, Bill O'Brien had good advice for me down there. Everywhere I really been, coaches have had great advice for me.
And living close to Atlanta, you've made it clear you're hoping they would come up, make a trade.
It's just something up in the air, They're close. Houston, a good city. They got the top pick. You never know what could happen. I can end up going to Houston, Atlanta, Jacksonville up there, St. Louis up there. This depends on whatever the team needs. And I'm just ready to get in there and learn the system and get going with the NFL.
And that's Clowney.
Like I said, like Tina Turner, let me leave with my name.
All right, PJ, your reaction to all this?
I think it's ridiculous, Jamie. I did Game 7 of the series. There were a couple jump shots late in the game away from still playing right now, so it'd be 2 more weeks before they fired Mark Jackson. It's your prerogative. If you own a team or you're the president or GM and you have the final say, you can fire somebody anytime you want. You would hope that if you fire somebody, you tell them why. You would hope if you're a part of who you hire, if you don't let the guy hire his own assistants or fire his own assistants, if you interfere, well, then you're contributing to the problem. So Mark Jackson got a raw deal. Everybody in the league knows what a talented coach he is. It's really unfortunate. He's going to land on his feet. I'm telling you, the atmosphere in L.A. on Saturday, this team's in a Game 7 fighting for their life to advance after being in the playoffs for only first time back-to-back and the first time in 17 years, these 2 years. And that atmosphere, is he going to be back, all that? I mean, that's not why you try and play a game. Talk about the Clippers having problems to deal with. The Warriors created their own problems, too, and they made it difficult for their team on Saturday night.
So you think they had their mind made up before?
Oh, there's no question they did. It just would have postponed it to 2 weeks.
Absolutely. It'll be interesting to see where he lands, as you mentioned, and where the Warriors go for their new head coach.
All right, just finished up in Oakland, so we'll update you with the M's and the A's. First of 2, Felix.
Yeah.
Not nothing crazy.
Yeah. Are your friends all trying to mooch her yet, or no? They're just basically. Do you?
No, I got a tight family, man.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't got too many friends.
All right, let's update the baseball up at Doug Kingsmore Stadium. Top of the third. Clemson has 3 hits but no runs. They're still in a scoreless game up there against High Point. Clayton Schmidt on the mound for the Tigers this afternoon. And USC and Wofford just getting underway over at Carolina Stadium. And let's see, the score there would be 0-0. And they're in the top of the second. And nobody's got a hit just yet in that ball game, so we'll keep you up to date there. And K-Mac, we have a final score in that first SEC softball tournament game.
Good, I want to fill out my bracket.
I was going to ask you to tell us what.
I thought if you had a final, pass it along so we can.
Well, if you'll give me
get
just
everybody
here.
Up to speed on what's happening there, because I'm sure there are millions of people,
countless dozens,
just.
Now, Kentucky
waiting with bated
is
breath.
nationally ranked. I think there's something like 11. So if they lost, it would be an upset.
Well, let's see here. The final score was the number 16 team in the country, number 7 seed Kentucky 4, number 10 seed Mississippi State 3.
Okay, so no upset.
No upset. So they advance. And South Carolina is coming up next to play Auburn I believe that's right. Auburn.
And they had to
In
they
a
had to beat
rematch,
them.
yeah.
Yeah, they had to beat
Rematch.
them to get in their own tournament.
That's
Because
right.
if they'd have lost, if they'd have gotten swept by Auburn, they wouldn't even be playing in the tournament they're hosting.
Texas A&M is not in the tournament yet. They're the number 22 team in the RPI.
Mm-hmm.
And so they'll make the NCAA tournament, just won't make the SEC tournament. That's enough SEC softball tournament talk for one show. Back to the NFL draft. And today on the NFL Network on NFL.com, Sean O'Hara, former offensive lineman, and Willie McGinnis, former great defensive player, they were breaking down some film of Clowney. So we begin with McGinnis talking about Clowney. You'll hear O'Hara chiming in as well. Let's take a listen.
All right, Sean, when we talk about Clowney, there's some things that you can touch. We talk about technique, but there's some things when I look at this kid that jumps off the film, okay?
He's a freak. He's like Javon
Curse. He is a freak, and he has natural ability, and he has great instincts. So let's get to the film and show some of these. I'm going to show you some of the natural stuff that he does. Okay, here's the one. Look at this first step. Off the ball, that rip move. Look at his arm. He's already beating the inside arm, which is important for a tackle. He gets around. The quarterback has no chance.
He just ragdolled him.
Head and shoulders above. Look at the get off. It's not even a chance. The quarterback doesn't even get a chance to set his feet. Now, here's another thing. He's playing to run on this play. He's going down, reverse, react to the play, and he runs down a running back. These are some of the things you really can't teach from a football player. I understand a lot of guys come in raw. The technique's not really there. But when you have freakish ability, you can't teach that stuff.
Yeah. You know, I mean, for him, he makes stuff look so easy. And that's what I think everybody loves about him. Here's a couple things that have me concerned about Clowney because he is so athletic and he is so gifted. He kind of lacks some of the little skills that made Willie McGinnis a future Hall of Famer. Watch this get off right here. That's what Willie's talking about. But look at the lack of activity by his hands. Watch where his hands. He doesn't chop the offensive lineman's hands. He doesn't ever clear him and doesn't ever get him off him. And that's why you see this offensive tackle. We're taught as the defensive end goes by, you get your hand on the hip and you wash him by the quarterback. That's one of the reasons why he struggled on that play. Now, here we see a high school move right here, Willie.
Yeah.
His feet are off the ground,
Not
right?
good.
That's
Not
the old
good.
jump swing. That worked at Jones Junior High, but watch what happens here. Again, the lack of activity by the hand swipe. Look what happens, okay? If you can't find a way to get the offensive lineman's hands off of your chest, if you give him that chest and you try that Jones Junior High jump move, he's gonna be opening up his chest and letting an NFL tackle punch him in the chest. That's not gonna be good for Clowney. So a couple things for him to work on.
Well, we both agree that those things could be taught, and he's a
He can
freakish
learn.
athlete.
You
He
can teach
learn
him
those things.
in like 5 days how to get better at that. But he's definitely the best prospect in this year's draft.
And Dan, the other thing we both agree on, he will not be on the board long.
No, I mean, once the board officially is up there about 8 o'clock, he should be off by, certainly Houston's going to come, unless they just want to hold off for dramatic effect. They're going to be ready to make their call right away, unless they get a call about a major
they
trade
usually
now.
let that clock tick a little bit just to see if the phone rings and somebody gets desperate. I would imagine there'll be, what is it? They get 10 minutes,
15 minutes.
They
in the
still do
first round,
15.
isn't it? 15
I
minutes.
thought they
in the first
lowered
round.
it a little
And
bit.
they still will. I think they did lower it
I think they lowered it
to 10.
But
10. But
I think they'll use a majority of their allotted time just to work the phones. If somebody wants to be silly and offer them 3 first rounds and a second for the number 1 pick, that gives you something to think about if you're Houston.
You know, the ESPN's in their ears saying, hey, hold on. Audience is building.
No,
ESPN
ESPN would never try to alter
I think they will wait. I think they will wait all the way down to Buffalo's pick before you see them get off the phones. Because I think they're going to, even if they pick Clowney, they're still going to take calls. Watch.
Have you ever
That's what's going to
remember the year, was it the Vikings one year, they let the clock expire? You know, if you let the clock expire, the next team can go up there and make their pick. You lose, the first one to the microphone. And I don't remember if it was the Vikings that lost a pick or they went up there and took a pick from somebody
they took a pick
that didn't get it off in time.
I remember that. You're exactly right.
But with the price being set now, with the first couple of draft picks, there is no need to bargain. Like, say, with Mario Williams years ago, Houston wanted to get that price down.
To
wanted to negotiate. They don't have to do that now, right, with Clowney.
No,
so why not let the clock run?
Everything's slotted.
Yeah, so I mean,
slotted now.
Yeah, before that, I mean, they very well could be negotiating with Clowney right now, and that could determine who they're going to pick. Hey, well, can we get Clowney for this guy? Okay, Manziel will come in and do it for this, but
so there's no reason for them not to let the clock run then.
Right.
Now, Jay Glazer from Fox and the NFL, he tweeted out the Texans are asking for 3 first-rounders and a second-rounder.
That
the top
means
pick.
that means they don't want to trade Clowney.
Right. They did put the price so high.
Yeah, so high that you don't want
Just
to
like
deal with
Corn
it.
asked the prettiest girl at his school to the prom. You know, never hurts to ask. She said no, but he.
How do
at
you know
least
she
asked.
said no?
Just I have sources there.
Lavinia Cox fell all over me, even though she's 4 years my senior.
Well, the phone just
Future
rang
Miss
and
South
she heard
Carolina,
you.
first runner-up in Miss America. She could only wish he could turn the clock back 4 years to go with the Corn to his prom. I would have given her a night she'd have never forgotten. Anyway,
Wow.
we move on to more important things. Now, speaking of
Sounded
TMZ
like a
type
threat.
stuff,
Jeez. I'm sorry I even mentioned that.
sounded like a
I was
threat.
hoping, a little quip and we'd move on, but
you
that
forget
just went
that
down a road that
I
was.
happen to have a very close relationship with a former Miss South Carolina.
Yeah, sounds like it.
I was her tennis buddy. Anyway, speaking of TMZ type stuff, lead us into the Sammy Watkins TMZ exchange.
Well, yeah, this is your typical TMZ exchange. If you've never visited the site, good for you. Don't. But this is TMZ catching up with Sammy Watkins. What they do is they just throw a camera in your face and ask
Was he
you.
walking down the sidewalk?
He
or
was
something?
about to get into his cab or his ride. Anyway, this is the TMZ interview with Sammy Watkins. Bear with us.
Yeah.
Not nothing crazy.
Yeah. Are your friends all trying to mooch her yet, or no? They're just basically. Do you?
No, I got
you
a tight family, man.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I don't got too many friends.
Just kind of
Nobody,
like that. I hear
It's
you.
all level.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's stay
Are
structured.
you gonna still do fantasy football?
Yeah.
You
of
still
course.
do it?
Yeah.
I hear
yeah.
you, brother. I hear
Why
you.
not?
And basically, as soon as you get picked, do you pretty much go to your team right away, pretty much?
Some teams have you that right after the draft or that Friday.
Do you think did you finish your degree, or
I came out as a junior. So
do you think you'll ever finish back up with?
Of course, I think I go back every summer. I love
And
Clemson.
what will you miss most about college?
I'll definitely say the brotherhood that you have on the team.
Yeah.
The coaches really sincerely care about you. And just the college atmosphere, I think
What
it's
about
way
the
more
college
lively.
food? Is the college food? Are you glad you'll be able to eat some good food instead of the college cafeteria stuff?
I mean, I never ate cafeteria food. Yeah.
I hear you, brother. What would you say is the best football movie?
Movie?
Yeah, football movie. Which say?
Remember the Titans.
Remember the Titans. You can't go wrong with that. And what do you have on your DVR? You know, what shows are you currently into?
I really watch Netflix. Yeah.
Netflix
I'm
guy?
a Netflix guy.
I don't
yeah.
blame you. Do you think you'll do
I
cable?
don't watch regular TV like that.
No? Do you have cable or do you just
I have things, but I rarely watch it.
Really? What do you
I watch ESPN. That's about it.
What do you watch on Netflix or what you think?
Everything. The most big one, the greatest one is Prison Break.
I like that. I'm with you. Actually, I'm with you on the same page.
I can watch that over like so many times. The
I hear
whole
you.
seasons. Every season.
I hear you, bro. Dude,
Yeah.
I'm excited to watch you Thursday night, bro. And it's going to be, you're a talented guy, and I watch you complete your career, bro. So it's going to be fun. Later, guys.
The poor thing about Sammy, I mean, he's trying to answer some serious questions, and the guys they ask him goofy type questions. And
That's why they want secretly recorded conversations at TMZ, I guess.
that's what you're going to have to get used to when you become a megastar like these guys are about to be. We'll be back.
Uh-oh. Go laugh at his grave. Stand by.
All right, let's update the baseball situations. And Clemson and High Point, they're scoreless as they play in the bottom of the third. Tigers do have a runner on third with one man out. And they have 4 hits, but they have nothing to show for it yet. They've left 4 on base to this point. And Clay Schmidt has not allowed a hit through 3 innings, so a good start for him. Tigers need to get some offense going and to see if they can take advantage of some of their opportunities. As far as USC and Wofford over at Carolina Stadium, USC's taken a 2-0 lead. They've scored 2 runs in the bottom of the second inning. To break on top, Griner has homered to left field, and Gamecocks have also scored on a looks like a bases-loaded walk to Cone, forced in a run. So the Gamecocks are up 2-0 on Wofford. They've just scored again, so it's 3-0 South Carolina with 1 out, runners on second and third, threatening to maybe blow this thing open early. They get a sacrifice fly off the bat of Harrington, who's done well after not seeing hardly any time the first 2.5 seasons at South Carolina. He's getting his chance, and he's starting to hit a little bit and drive in some runs. So the Gamecocks are up 3-0 as they play in the bottom of the second inning. And we'll give you further updates as we move on through the program. Coach Todd Knight from Newberry is going to join us here shortly as we talk some Newberry spring football. You want more from your education? Well, Palmetto College offers the quality of a 4-year education online. To find out more, visit palmettocollege.sc.edu. With Palmetto College, your future has no limits.
And we've got the Eastern Conference semifinals going on in the NBA. Indiana sprinted out to a 9-0 lead. Now it's 23-23 after the first quarter.
Washington is one of those teams they're believing in themselves right now. They have that confidence going. They feel like, listen, they've won every one of their road games in the playoffs thus far, and they've got that. They just got that team thing going, that unity. Everybody's contributing. They're distributing the ball. Their stars are playing like stars, so that's a great chemistry, a great combination to have in the postseason.
And right now that Larry Bird could outscore Hilbert.
Yeah. You mean Larry Bird of today?
Yeah. Larry Bird right now could probably walk out of the stands, throw on his old short shorts and his Converse, and score at least 2. I think he could score 1 bucket.
By saying that, you are forcing me to run home and get my Larry Bird
bobblehead.
Well, it's not a bobblehead. It's just
I haven't seen that because you brought that for Game 7 of the NBA Finals, and that was actually Game 6 and 7 when the Lakers won 2 in a row to win their latest
Actually, the last time I used that was in Game 7 of the
and they got
Eastern
blown out
Conference
by
semifinals.
Miami.
They ain't blown out. We had a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter, and LeBron hit a crazy 3.
To help Hibbert out tonight, sitting on the sideline, just to help him for moral support, JT3 has been brought in the building. John Thompson III. His coach in college, Georgetown coach.
I'm sure that's going to energize him. Clemson has taken a 1-0 lead. Boulware gets an RBI. Tigers up 1-0.
Stand by.
All right, South Carolina's gone up 5-0 now on Wofford. Schrock with a double to right center, getting an RBI. USC up 5-0, still batting in the bottom of the second inning with 2 men out. Clemson with a 1-0 lead, top of the fourth, against High Point at Doug Kingsmore Stadium. Let's shift gears from a little baseball now to some football. We continue checking in around the state. Post-spring practice, looking ahead to the 2014 season. We welcome in Coach Todd Knight from Newberry. Coach, good evening. How are you?
Doing great, Phil. How about you?
Man, we're doing great. It's good to have you with us once again. So coming off the kind of season that you guys had, making the postseason, getting into the Division II playoffs, the excitement from that, the confidence that it builds within the program, did you just kind of see that follow over into your spring practice this year?
I did a little bit. Coming out of the spring game, I don't think you can ever be satisfied with it because if the offense is looking good and you're a little disappointed with your defense and vice versa. But I think that a lot of kids for us stepped up. We had a great senior class last year that, like you said, got us into the playoffs for only the second time in 100 years of football at Newberry. But I'm real pleased with the young guys that stepped up in spring ball, and they showed that it is their time and they can get it done for us.
Anybody in particular stand out in your mind among those young guys?
Well, at tailback, Romello Doctor, I think is a special player, and he's going to be I think he's got the ability to be all conference, all everything for us said and done.
You're going to give him the ball a good bit this fall?
I think between he and WT, I think you're going to see a lot of times in those two guys' hands.
WT Murden, your returning starting quarterback, how much more advanced is he coming out of this spring practice after the season he had, another spring practice behind him? Did you work him a lot this spring?
We kind of worked a little bit of a 3-quarterback system, actually, in the spring. We had a kid that took a few snaps last year, Raleigh Yeldale, along with WT, and really working a 2-quarterback system last year. WT still made all conference, so that speaks volumes for the way that kid played for us. A couple of years back, Phil, I was worried about WT. Academically, he was struggling. Now you look at him, and he's tutoring other kids. He's a leader. He's a captain. He's all conference. The kid's turned into everything we thought he could be, and coming into his senior year, sky's the limit for him.
Now, you got to like that as a coach when you see a kid, like you said, maybe struggle early on during his college career. And that's what a career is about. I mean, it's not a one-year deal. You mature, you learn, you get better on the field, in the classroom, and he's, I guess, a classic example of that.
He really is. And, we've had a little turnover here and there and different offensive coordinators. And Bennett Swiggert's our offensive coordinator now, doing a great job. And he and WT have gelled really well together. So coming into his senior season and having an opportunity to work with WT one more year, expectation levels are very high for him and for the offense and for the entire program, quite frankly.
Talking with Coach Todd Knight from Newberry. C.J. Frazier in your program, and I remember him. Boy, he was a big offensive player in high school. My memory serves me right. I think he was at Bluffton. And
exactly.
Rolled up some huge numbers for Coach Cribb back in his career. And he's with you guys. And where is he in his development, and when will the fans see more of him?
Well, he's going to have a red shirt season this year. So the kid's he's only had 15 days of spring ball. You could see the light come on toward the end of it. He's absolutely a playmaker. There's no question about it. But he's really at the beginning stages of everything, learning the offense, finding his way. I think the kid, he's going to be really special, Phil, down the road. Let this senior season for WT get past us, and then it'll be his time to shine.
You feel like he's the heir apparent at quarterback?
I think so. I think Raleigh Yeldale from Strom Thurmond is going to take snaps along with WT this year, and and I think those guys will battle for the starting job in the future.
You know, looking at your numbers from last year, offensively, 31 points a game, right at 400 yards per game. Looks like you did a pretty good job protecting the football. Is there an area that you worked on offensively in the spring that needed some focus from the coaches to get it better?
Well, coming out of the season, we had the most balanced offense in the league. Between run and pass, we did a great job right there. But I think going into spring ball, we really concentrated more on the run game. We have all of our tailbacks back from the season. Of course, we have all of our quarterbacks back as well. But we really wanted to concentrate on the run game. And with a stable of tailbacks and Romello Doctor being the young guy in the crowd, and then you've got a fifth-year senior and everybody else is back in the crowd, Darrell Elmore being the fifth-year senior, we really wanted to beef up the run game a little bit this spring, and I'm pleased with what we've seen coming out of it.
Anybody emerging in the receiving core in your return game to replace Corey Washington?
You know, that's a tough one to replace, Phil, with a kid that's all-region, all-American, all-everything, and he's hopefully will be the first guy drafted at our place in the modern era. In 100 years, we've had 3 guys drafted, but it's been back in the days when they had 30, 40 rounds.
Mm-hmm. What do you hear?
You know, when you're dealing with the modern era, this could be our first one in the modern era, and Corey's that type of kid. And it's hard to replace a guy like that. You know, this spring it was almost like receiver by committee. We were spreading it around, throwing it to different guys, but we do have a fifth-year senior that's coming back, Byron Dickerson, that's a transfer out of Mississippi State that had a great year last year, and it's kind of his time to step up and be the man.
What are you guys hearing about Corey in the draft tomorrow? Or not necessarily not tomorrow, but through the next couple of days. I don't think he's going to be in the first round.
He'll probably be in the last day or so of it. From agents and scouts, he's had private workouts with the New England Patriots, flew down and worked him out, the Philadelphia Eagles, and it's been exciting in our place, to be quite honest. When the Patriots came down and did the private workout with him, Connor Shaw actually came up and threw for Corey.
Really?
On the workout that day.
Who arranged that?
So it was really cool to walk out on the field that day, and it almost looked like we had a game going on. There were so many people out on the field. I should have run everybody out and charged admission to come in. So it was a circus, Phil, up at our place that day. But it's hard to replace a kid like that. But we're kind of hearing maybe 4th, 5th round, something in that range.
Wow, that'd be great. Of course, you still have Brandon Bostic in the league, don't you, with the Packers?
He is with the Packers, and Ron Parker's with the Kansas City Chiefs, and Kamal McElwain. At this point, I'm not sure if he's still with the Panthers, but last month or so he was.
Well, that's not
we've
bad.
Got a few guys that have been fortunate and was given an opportunity and has done good with it.
Well, I mean, are you still the smallest school in the NCAA playing football?
We're pretty close. If we're not it, we're 2 or 3 guys away from it.
Yeah, that's not bad having a couple of guys in the NFL. Looking forward to the upcoming season. You guys will open up when?
We'll open up first weekend of the season. We'll be at Charleston Southern.
Oh, that should be a heck of a ball game. That's
a tough one right there, isn't it, Phil? I mean, we had a great year, but they had a great year, so we're going to open up down at their place, and that's a major challenge for us.
Under the lights, is it not? Is that the Thursday night game, under the lights?
Well, it's still on that Saturday
to
open the season, and I think they've moved it to 6 o'clock because they just got lights down at their place, so we're gonna see if they work or not.
Okay, man. Well, maybe you'll knock the lights out and come away with a nice win.
But I'm gonna tell you that Jamie does a great job down there, and that's gonna be a heck of a challenge.
No question. Hey, thanks for being with us tonight. Enjoy the little bit of summer that you have coming up, and we'll talk to you when the season rolls around.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm out tonight at 11-year-old soccer, so football season cannot get here fast enough, Phil.
I know the feeling. We're all saying the same thing. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you for having me on.
You got it, man. We appreciate it. All right, Todd Knight, coach at Newberry. They should be very, very good, guys. Again, this coming season, look for them to make a run for the South Atlantic Conference Championship and another place in the Division II postseason. All right, recruiting is coming up in just a moment. We'll tell you more about the Nunez situation in just a moment.
Stand by.
All right, 6-0 now. South Carolina leading Wofford. Joey Pancake has gone yard. That's in the third inning. So the Gamecocks are leading now 6-0. They've got 5 hits, 2 home runs. Wofford's got 1 hit off of the Gamecock starter Reed Scott tonight. So bottom of the third, 6-0 USC. Clemson up 1-0 on High Point. They've gone to the bottom of the fourth inning at Doug Kingsmore Stadium. Get to recruiting in just a moment. Hey, if you want more out of your education, well, Palmetto College offers the quality of a 4-year education online. Now, to find out more, visit palmettocollege.sc.edu. With Palmetto College, your future has no limits. All right, to recruiting we go now. Quarterback Lorenzo Nunez, Kennesaw, Georgia, has finalized his decision. According to his father, will announce the choice via Twitter tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Dale Nunez said the decision came down to USC, NC State, and Ohio State. Father said that they're relieved, and he feels good, the son does, about the decision. Absolutely. Would not give any hints as to what the decision is. Nunez has not notified the schools of his decision. He'll do so prior to putting the word out on Twitter. Nunez we talked to earlier this week, and he told us that he was expecting Gamecock recruiter G.A. Mangus to be at his practice Thursday or Friday. I imagine G.A. will be there tomorrow. Now, they practice at 5 in the morning because of sharing the football field with the soccer team. Nunez visited USC for the spring game and said after that visit he was very impressed by what he saw with the Gamecocks. He later visited NC State and came away equally impressed with the Wolfpack. And he said Ohio State has continued to show strong interest in him. And with Ohio State missing on Brandon Wimbush yesterday, who committed to Penn State, I would imagine Ohio State maybe has turned up the heat in the last 24 hours on Nunez. So we'll see what happens tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Running back Reggie Gillespie from Greensboro, North Carolina, has a wait-and-see approach from Clemson to him to see if they're going to offer. He talked to recruiter Robbie Caldwell, and he told him that they're unsure if they'll have any scholarships available. He said that he thinks they got a running back hurt recently, and they have to see how that goes. His most recent offers were California, Vanderbilt, Syracuse, Louisville, and Boston College. He's excited to get all of those offers. He said should Clemson become more involved, he would reciprocate that interest. But he has a top 5 right now of Duke, NC State, North Carolina, West Virginia, and Virginia. USC continues to make a strong push for defensive back Carlton Davis of Miami. Grady Brown's been pushing him pretty hard, and the Gamecocks are in his top 5. He said that Brown told him that they'd like to have him. He'd be one of the biggest corners. He's 6'2", in the Gamecock cornerback group if he were to sign with them. He's never been to USC on a recruiting visit. He plans to visit during the summer or the season. But he said USC is in his top 5 right now, along with LSU, Alabama, Miami, and Florida. He said the favorite constantly changes among the 5, but USC's early strong interest is a bonus for them. He said Brown has been consistent in talking with him, and he likes how they've built the program. Davis has visited Miami, and he plans to see more schools this summer. Today he picked up offers from Illinois and NC State. Coaches from Clemson and USC were by the school on Tuesday to check on offensive lineman Zach Gaiella of Augusta, and Clemson, the big mover with him in recent weeks. LSU is still his favorite, but Clemson and Ole Miss share number 2 on his list. He said he really loves the Clemson coaching staff, really likes Coach Morris, who is recruiting him. Plus, he said proximity is important, and the facilities, he said, are top of the line, and the distance, the fact that Clemson's pretty close to home, is big with him, and they are high on his list. He's going to visit Clemson May 30th. This weekend he's going to Georgia Tech. USC was an early favorite, and Gaiella visited during spring practice. The Gamecocks have dropped down the list some with the big tackle, though he said he's still going through the process with USC and staying in touch with the coaches. They are still in the mix. He does have a top 5 in his head, but he's not ready to go public with that. He plans to make a decision this summer before his season. 2016 athlete Savion Smith of Lakeland, Florida, was offered today by Clemson. That's his first offer. Tennessee tight end Jackson Harris from around Nashville. He has his list down to 5 now. Clemson is in his final 5, along with Alabama, Florida, Georgia, and Vanderbilt. Those are his final 5. Linebacker Ricky DeBerry Jr. of Virginia plans to visit USC on May 17th. USC and Clemson, they're in his final 20. And I know you like it, K-Mac, when they get it down to 20.
I do like it when they cut that list.
20.
And defensive end Arden Key tweeted today that he knows where he's going to play his college football. He's a former USC commitment. but has been looking at a number of other schools since decommitting from USC. There you go with recruiting. Don't forget to check it out on our website, sportstalksc.com, every day.
Watch NBA games all season. This reminds me of Game 2 of the Houston-Portland series. As you see, John Wall go to the hole strong with his left hand, but getting Hibbert involved reminds me of what they did with Dwight Howard. He had 25 in the first half, 7 in the second half, and lost the game. Maybe because the team didn't keep him integrated in a seamless type way. It'd be interesting to see how the second half goes.
Hill on a rack attack. George Hill puts Indiana in front. Pacers are shooting 50% from the field. They've outscored Washington in the paint 20-14. They've matched their entire paint total from game 1 already.
Indiana went to a zone on that play. They did not want Hibbert to guard Nene on the pick and roll.
Gortat, the baby hook.
Gortat is for real. Great jump hook inside. Playing physical.
6 points, 4 rebounds for Marcin Gortat. Gortat at 41, under 2 minutes to go, first half. Hill works his way to the rim, doesn't go. Nene was a factor defensively, and a foul called. Gortat bumping bodies with Hibbert.
This is the George Hill, if you're an Indiana fan, that you love to see. Not just because he gets the clean dunk, but because he kept his dribble and then went off of the pick and roll.
All right, once again, Clemson still leading 1-0, top of the 5th. Tight one. Doug Kingsmore, USC 6-0 on Wofford. And they're at the top of the 4th there, so not a close one there. Let's update the other scores involving state teams tonight. Give you updated scores. There are a couple of other games involving state teams this evening. And let's see, Furman trailing East Tennessee 8-5, bottom of the 8th. And College of Charleston has beaten Upstate. That's gone final 5-3. Pro, looks like Roy Hibbert decided to show up tonight.
Yeah, they're getting the ball inside to him, but, Gortat and Nene, the Matador capes are in vogue tonight. I mean, he's just getting to the hoop with no kind of effort. And it seems like the Wizards, again, Phil, some of those young teams that never been in the playoffs or the players they have now, except for Ariza, the guys playing like they're playing not to lose instead of playing to win. And that can cost you because they get comfortable. Yeah, we got the win on the road we wanted. Why not get greedy and win both of them?
How about a Washington-Miami Eastern Conference Finals?
I don't know how excited that would get many people. But
now, the West, if it's either one, Clippers or OKC, I'd love to see the Clippers continue to advance.
Not me.
Clippers and Spurs, that would be dandy. That would be a classic
I'd like
game.
to see Kevin Durant and
loved his speech last night.
Oh, he's a great. He really is, and it's genuine too. That was a genuine speech where he individually thanked everybody on his team and of course his mother.
Yeah,
that was cool.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Well, the out west, I think probably more than anything else, but in the playoffs in general, Phil, other than the Heat, I mean, the home court advantage means nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing.
Did Trevor Booker just make a 3?
No, I think it was a 2.
That was a long 2 for Trevor Booker.
Long 2, left-handed, just like the old days, and 45-43, Washington, late in the half.
You got to pull for the team formerly known as the Bullets.
I will say this.
He's the only local. Well, you have Kevin Garnett still alive.
I will say this, looking at the matchups.
Ray Allen.
I will say this, looking at the matchups, the Heat will have a headache with that young backcourt of Washington. If anything, they will have a headache.
And again, Washington right now is playing like we can't lose. You know, they're playing with a heck of a lot of confidence, and this is so new to them. They don't really realize, I think, where they are and what they're doing. They're just going out and playing ball and playing well as a team, excellent chemistry. Things are happening their way. So you win playoff games on the road like they've done. Well, they've won
They
four
won
playoff games on the road?
I think they've won 2 in Chicago and the one in
Indiana.
In Indiana.
So they've won 3. All right. Well, tomorrow night, believe it or not, this will shock you. The NFL draft will happen tomorrow night.
The first round.
Finally,
the first
one round of the NFL draft.
Because the second round is the second and third round.
You won't have to watch long, though, to see the two guys
Saturday.
that we'll have our eye on go off the board.
I would think so. All right, everybody have a great night. We'll have post-game coverage from USC and Clemson baseball up on SportsTalkSC.com later this evening. And we look forward to being right back here with you tomorrow night on Sports Talk. Thank you, K-Mac, Pro, State Man. Have a great night, everybody.